Hi everyone. So as I'm going through your Word files and sketches and image collections, I want to point out something important before you get too deep into the weeds here. I know you've just started to select and place images in your layout, so this is a great time to hold an image intervention. This seems to be a recurrent problem among students when it comes to selecting images that are just not high enough quality to place in their InDesign documents. One thing I want you to keep in mind when designing a piece that may end up printed or as a PDF or even as an online as an image, you should always design it initially at the highest quality. Always begin with the highest quality images you can collect. Don't waste your time with mid-quality images. Once designed, then you have the option to generate lower quality versions of it for online or PDF distribution. But if you start by designing with lower quality images or graphics with maybe an online or PDF output in mind, you can never upgrade the quality afterwards should you decide to turn it into a print piece. How many times have you printed out something that looks great on screen and then been disappointed that the output looks muddy or fuzzy? Now, hopefully, you've watched the short video from Michael Bulo before you watch this. He approaches it from a more technical aspect, but it's a really valuable 6 minutes of your time. Don't miss it. If you didn't watch it, stop right now and go back and watch it. What I'm about to show you will make more sense if you watch that video first. The mistake I see over and over is that design students pick images that are just not of the highest quality. I want you to stop right now and take this vow. I promise to always get the biggest, honking, highest quality images to work with and not waste my time with garbage images. So if you watched Michael Bulo's video, you will now know that just looking for big file sizes isn't necessarily enough. And resolution, pixels per inch, actually means less than you think. A 72 pixel per inch image, if it has a big enough pixel dimension, might be good enough for your use if you're going to print it at a much smaller size than it is. And conversely, a 300 pixel per inch image might not be any good if you are going to enlarge it. The other thing is, you can find images online that have very strange resolutions. So you've got to be aware of what you're working with. What we're talking about here is the difference between the actual pixels per inch and the effective pixels per inch. How do you tell the difference? Well, one of the reasons I love InDesign is because it tells you about it. It's very easy. Let's take a look using some actual images that are sitting in Basecamp as I record this video today. So I've opened up the file I used to explain how to set up your NPS project in InDesign, and I'm going to leave this front page for a moment and move to page 2, which is the back side of the brochure and is currently blank. So here I go. I'm going to go to my Pages panel. Easiest thing is to just click on page 2, and there I am. Now I have a folder here on my desktop with some of the images that I collected. And if I collected your images, don't feel that I'm criticizing you or anything. I'm just using these as a demonstration. And since we're only 2 weeks into this project, now is a great time for you to do an about face and pay closer attention to your image selection. So I'm going to place a couple of images here, and I'm going to do it by dragging images right onto the document, and instead of dragging out a box, I am going to just click. Here's an image of some scenery. I'm just going to drag it over here, click once, there's the image, and then click again without dragging out a box. And this is the image in its actual pixel dimension. Now, it's now a linked file. If I go to my links panel, I see this image. It's also got listed the images that I placed on page 1. I'm going to close those up for a second just so you can see. This is the image, and down here at the bottom of the links panel, you can turn down this arrow and show the link information, and you can actually pull down this window and see more of it. So what we're looking at right now is an image. Its actual pixels per inch is 96, and its effective pixels per inch is also 96. So it's a little better than 72 pixels per inch. What we're shooting for in the end is an effective pixels per inch of 300. We can change this effective pixels per inch by making the image smaller. I'm going to hold down my Shift and Command key and grab a corner, and as I drag it, note that the effective pixels per inch increases as the visual dimension, the observable dimensions of the image get smaller. And just to show you in context, now for me to get to 300, I'd have to get pretty small on this image. So if you were thinking of using this image as, say, an image that ran across the document, and here is this is a little bit off, but this is about as big as you could use this image. So if you had plans for it to span a couple of columns, it's really not going to be big enough. So I'm going to click that and delete it. Now I have another image here, and I'm going to do a slightly different thing. I'm going to place it, click, and then drag out a box. So this is a picture of Jackie Robinson. Now this is an interesting image because let's look at it, it's 3,599 pixels per inch. The actual resolution of this image is way over the top. And even at this size, the effective pixels per inch is way over what we need. It's 544. So we have the option. We could actually make this image a lot bigger. If we drag it out here, we could use this image pretty much at about this size and have it look really good. If it's a little bit below 300, it's not going to be that noticeable at all. If you were going to fill this whole page with the image, say you were going to do something like this and then run type across it, which is not inconceivable, be aware that the effective pixels per inch is now 175, so you're not going to get a super crisp reproduction of this if you print it out at this point. If you're going to use it as a background image and lay type over it, well, you might not be as concerned. Here's opacity. That actually might be fine. So here's an image that's almost 3,600 pixels per inch, and it's usable. Let's go over here, and I'm going to show you a couple more. Now here's an image. I'm going to do this, drag it, and then I'm just going to click. This image is 96 pixels per inch, and it's also 96 pixels per inch. So this image is actual pixel per inch 96, effective pixels per inch is 96. Unless I wanted to use it at a very small size, it's not going to help me. So I need to find a bigger, higher quality image. Now this last one is very interesting. This is a photo. I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to drag out a box. Its actual pixels per inch is 1, and its actual effective pixels per inch at this size is only 25. So if we zoomed in on this, it would really start to break up really quickly. You do not want to use this image. It's fine to use it as a placer. This is the library in town, but I would not even waste my time collecting an image like that. Now let's go back to some of the images that I had in page 1. Now I have two instances of one image here. I have this Harper's building. It's a garrison, or it was a building that warehoused weapons. I'm going to click on this instance of it and look at it in the links panel. Its actual pixels per inch is 600. Its effective pixels per inch is 219. So at that size, it's not going to be of the highest quality if I printed it out. If I go to this smaller instance of it, watch what happens to the effective pixels per inch. It's 303 pixels per inch. So yes, at this size, it's perfect. It's the same photograph, but it is less effective at this size than it is at this size. You're going to shoot for an effective pixels per inch for any of your images when they're finally sized correctly. This should be 300. Now, my beautiful picture of Harper's Ferry up here, I'm clicking that. It's the original image is 96 pixels per inch. The effective pixels per inch is only 117. So what's going to happen is I zoom in on it. It's going to look pretty garbagey. One last thing I want to show you before I go. Let's bring in Jackie Robinson again. At this size, the effective pixels per inch is 389. Let's zoom in on that for a minute. Look at how that image holds up even at a magnification of 200. Here it is at 400. That image at that size is going to hold up. So do yourself a favor. I am going to continue to patrol the folders in Basecamp and make sure that you're not wasting your time with garbagey images.